Hello everyone, back to today's second video. We're going to have a look at the weather next week, 10 days in today's second video. This will take us to around middle of December. It's looking quite cold really from around Thursday, Friday onwards. I think the winds are going to be in from the north. These cold conditions could last for quite a while. There will be periods of moderation where the winds turn back to the west and bring in some rain. Of course, that is interesting because there could be a mix of rain or snow, depending on how the cold air and the milder Atlantic air sort of interacts with one another. But I think overall, certainly going up to around the middle of December anyway, we are looking quite cold from around Thursday onwards for the north and from around Friday onwards for the south. So I'll get on with all the detail for you in a second. Just say that the December month ahead forecast has been released. We're going for a rather cold December as well, probably our coldest since December 2010, although that's not saying much because most Decembers since have been exceptionally mild, with the exception of December 2012, which was a bit colder in the first half and became milder in the second half. But certainly we're not seeing any signs at the moment of picking up the sort of tropical long fetch southwesterly winds that have typified December over the past couple of years, particularly of course December 2015. There's not much sign of that at this stage. Not saying we won't get some long fetch southwesterlies with the air pushing up from Bermuda, but no sign of it at the moment. So the Christmas shop is open as well, by the way. If you haven't done your Christmas shopping yet at Amazon, then you can do it through Gaz Service. Just click the green button underneath this video. It says Gaz Christmas Shop. It takes you to our Christmas shop page, and then from there, the key to it all is to go through the Amazon banners. You'll arrive at Amazon where you do Christmas shopping as normal. It's just that you've gone from Gaz Service to Amazon. That means we get a revenue fee on the things that you are buying. Big thank you to everybody for doing that. And the last thing I'm going to tell you is that this evening we're going to have the 16th, we're up to update 16 now for the Christmas updates, really cracking on with those. But we're going to start off having a look at the central England temperature, because we've got it confirmed now for November, and that means also for the autumn as well. So for November 2017, the CET comes out at 6.8 degrees, which is an anomaly of just 0.3 degrees above average. So ever so slightly above average. But really, if you win within half a degree of your long-term average, you basically had an average month. It doesn't matter whether that's half a degree above or half a degree below. Generally, if you're around half a degree, either above or below average, then you've essentially had an average month. So not too far from average for November. September, that wasn't too far from average either. That came out at 13.5, an anomaly of just 0.1 degree below average. But it's really October that is the one that stands out there. October coming out at 12.4, an anomaly of getting on for 2 degrees above average. It really was a very warm October as we pushed up those tropical winds. Had a lot of hurricane activity, of course, in the Atlantic this autumn, especially in October, and those storms, or the remnants of those storms, pushed up a lot of warm winds from the tropics during the course of October. So that probably explains at least partly why October was such a warm month. So overall, we have had a warmer than average autumn. But mainly just down to that 1 month to October. If we just took September and November together, we would barely be breaking away from average. It's October that brought us out with a significantly warmer than average autumn. We will verify the GazService.com autumn 2017 forecast before much longer, see how that went. And by the way, for December, we've got the provisional CT up to the 3rd, just for the first 3 days of December. We come out at 5.1 at the moment, which is almost bang on average. Expect that to tick up a bit over the next couple of days. I think it'll be quite mild through to middle of the week, and then probably plunging a little bit, that CT, as we get through to the weekend and the start of next week. We will keep an eye on that, of course. 500 millibar height anomaly flow charts. This is the chart from the Penn State University website. Without flipping it around, I'm just showing you this because we haven't got the E70F in today. It's blank for the E70F 500 millibar height anomaly flow charts. Only got the GFS, which is over here. So let's have a look at that the right way round. This is it, and we can see that we are setting up quite a cold pattern on both sides of the Atlantic, and I assume the ECMWF would be more or less agreeing with this if we could see it, but we can't. So the blue colours here are extrapolating to below average heights, which is low pressure. The red colours to above average heights, which is high pressure. Again, mean flow charts for 7 to 10 days times. This takes us more or less to the middle of December. So you notice a deep area of below average heights across many eastern parts of America. That's a very deep trough digging down there and taking the jet stream a long way southwards with it. Then we've got this ridge through the Atlantic, this area of red just here, and that also extending back up to really quite extensive northern blocking, but we've got sitting over the top of the Arctic, all those red colours there, and then we've got another trough over on the western side of Europe, this big blue area just here. So this is a real trough ridge type pattern with the jet stream and the flow going something like that, and that's the kind of thing you're looking for to get it cold on both sides of the Atlantic. There is a little bit of a weakness between these two ridges. So we've got the ridge just here in the Atlantic, and then we've got the block up here over green. Between the two, we've got this area just here, and it's a bit weak, and that's going to allow through areas of low pressure at times, which will modify this cold weather. So as I say, we're not looking at December 2010, where it was severely cold, more or less from beginning to end, except for a few days here and there. And very snowy as well. We aren't looking at those kind of conditions because we aren't entirely blocking off the Atlantic. To do that, we will need to take this ridge a little bit further northwards and really set up the block through there with no jet stream coming through. The black lines on this chart are indicated by the jet stream. You see they are coming through to some degree, albeit quite weakened and going on a more southerly track. So that will allow some modification of the cold weather at times, but overall we are looking at a pretty cold outlook for the next week to 10 days, certainly starting from around Thursday anyway. These are the GFS temperature and precipitation ensembles from the GFS model for Manchester. The red line here is the 30-year upper air temperature average. We're around normal today, going to go quite mild Tuesday to Wednesday, so a couple of mild days. If you like mild weather, make most of them, because from Thursday onwards we see a real plunge taking place, so that by the end of the week and into the weekend, we're almost going down to minus 10 at 850 HPA. Excuse me, that's a very cold level for so early in the winter to be going to. You normally don't get down to minus 10, 850 millibars until you get later into the winter. So it goes really quite cold indeed at the end of the week into the weekend. And then that cold weather looks like it's with us for some time. The white line here is the ensemble mean. So that's taking all of these individual ensemble members, lines of colour spaghetti I call them, it's taking all of those and sort of getting a single mean line from that. And you see it isn't till right at the very end of the ensemble that that finally gets back towards the 30-year temperature average into the second half of the month. That's a very long way out in any case. In terms of precipitation, so we say for the next week to 10 days, I think, from 1st onwards anyway, it's looking quite cold. In terms of precipitation, lots of dry weather until the middle of the week. Then we've got some rain coming up through the middle of the week associated with this drop in temperature. And then after that, we have got quite a bit of precipitation actually there at the weekend and into next week. And that's associated with cold temperatures as well. So not only risk of rain through that period, also probably a risk of snow in places as well. And we won't know until much closer to the time exactly where the rain and snow differential is going to be. It just depends how the different air masses interact with one another. These are the surface temperatures and air pressure ensembles for Manchester. So starting off fairly mild today. We're under 10 degrees, so it's not very mild. It's just milder than it has been. And through the middle part of the week, actually, we do find those temperatures lifting up. So just briefly, around Wednesday, we do go above 10 degrees, but after that it's going cold. You notice a big drop in temperature. So by the time we get through to the weekend, in Manchester anyway, we're seeing temperatures being stuck down barely above freezing actually for 2 or 3 days. We're just stuck at sort of 1-2 degrees Celsius. and some quite hard overnight frost as well. So this is looking like a proper cold period coming up there. Beyond that, we start to see a lot of scatter, so a few milder ensemble members of PIN, but several that are quite cold, including some that are producing ice days, can you believe? But generally, I think just keep it quite cold, actually, as we're going into this middle part of December. It looks like, but again, the white line is the ensemble mean, and that looks like it's staying under 5 degrees Celsius until very late on in the ensemble, when it's perhaps picking up a little bit. But I think really this is a cold looking chart as we're going through to the middle part of December. For air pressure, we see a lot of scatter with the ensemble members. So we're starting off high with pressure today, over 1,030 millibars, but a real drop taking place around the middle of the week as it turns colder, also turns unsettled. And then generally quite low pressure, that's 1,010 millibars, and we stay at that sort of level then through the weekend and into next week, telling us that not only will it be cold, it could also be wintry as well. There will be the potential for wintry precipitation. In terms of the extended period, well, a lot of scatter then. So some members building in real high pressure, over 1,030 millibars. Others are very, very low with the pressure down to 970. So the second half of December still causing quite a lot of uncertainty. The temperature anomaly for the next week, this goes from the 4th to the 12th of December, is coming out colder than average, as it is for most of Western Europe. The warmth, again, is over in the east and the southeast of Europe. That's where we've got the warmer than average temperature anomalies. But in the west, it is colder than average. And expect these to trend cold, because this is taking into account the mild weather that we've got for the next 2 or 3 days. So as we go along, expect these to be trending even colder than this through the week. It'll be interesting to see how cold those temperature anomalies are going to go. Precipitation anomalies are coming out drier than average for the 4th to 12th of December. So generally quite cold and dry, sums it up. Have a look at the GFS for Thursday then. This is the changeover day when we've got this deep area of low pressure to the northeast of Scotland. We've got mild southwesterly winds on the southern side of that low pressure, much colder northerly winds on the northern side, and those cold northerly winds will push through as that low pressure clears away during the course of Thursday. At the weekend, there was a suggestion that we might see rain turning to snow on Thursday. I think that has been diminished a lot, this cold front, because at that point it looked like the cold front was introducing this cold weather was going to linger for quite a while across England and Wales. And when that happens, you can get an undercut of the cold air, which turns rain to snow. Now looks like this cold front is going to push through very quickly. So there may be a few flakes on the back edge, but I don't think we're looking at anything particularly substantial from the cold front in terms of snow on Thursday. But as the cold air digs in from the north, so showers will turn increasingly to snow in the north and the west. So that takes us through to Friday, when we really are in a proper Arctic blast. Look at that, we've got low pressure over Norway, and that's turning the winds properly into the north. As you follow the isobars back, the air is going a very, very long way north up there somewhere, and that's plunging down across the country. So it will be a really cold end to the week. There's the upper air temperatures for Friday, showing that we're bringing the -10 isotherm across much of central northern Britain. So this is a much colder northerly than the one we had last week. And so as those upper air temperatures go down to that sort of level, you can get convective snow showers developing, which is heavy snow showers. And you can also start to embed troughs in with the flow as well. And that can kind of band up those snow showers, band them together. So you don't know about that until closer to the time frame, but it is something to keep in mind that this is going to be colder northerly with more snow potential, I think, than the one we had last week. Into Saturday, that low pressure is still sitting there over Norway, still bringing down this very cold northerly wind, trying to raise the pressure a little bit out to the west, so probably turn a bit drier on Saturday in the west, but still snow showers likely in the north and the east. Then into Sunday, we've got this area of low pressure dying south. So we've got this area of low pressure here on Saturday. By the time we get through to Sunday, that low pressure is being pushed down towards the Bay of Biscay. Now, if that comes any further north, that could bring a snow event to Ireland, England and Wales. At the moment, this is being pushed down in, as I say, to the Bay of Biscay, but it's a long way out. It's nearly a week away, and we do need to keep an eye on where that low pressure is going, because if it's any further north, it will be threatening snow to England and Wales. And by snow, I mean persistent outbreaks of snow to England and Wales, a snow event. So cold weather is maintained to Monday under this ridge here that we've got across the country. We've got more areas of low pressure waiting in the Atlantic to push it into this cold air. So this takes us to Tuesday then, and low pressure is coming across the country again. This is probably suggesting snow for parts of the country, maybe rain or sleet in the far south and southwest, but other areas you'll notice there's kind of a slide going on here from this low pressure going in that sort of direction. So anywhere to the northeast of it round here, still in the cold air. So that could be another chance of snow Monday to Tuesday. Then the Atlantic properly pushes through on Wednesday. That's bringing a push of much milder air. It might contain snow initially, but then turning back to rain, milder air pushing in from the west. So that looks like a period of milder weather as we go through to the middle of next week. This is day 10, Thursday the 14th of December. It does look a lot milder then. But very quickly, beyond that, that low pressure again is slipping to the east and the southeast. Look what's happening. The winds are turning back into the north. So another shot of cold northerly air is coming back at the end of next week. Gone beyond day 10 now. But just the idea still within the GFS model that this cold weather it's not going to prove all that easy to get rid of, and even by the 16th of December we are back into cold north, this time more sort of northeasterly or easterly winds. This will probably start to drag in snow to more eastern parts of the country. So after a milder period through the middle of next week, we're back to those cold winds again later on next week. This is how the temperatures are looking from the GFS model over the next few days. So pretty mild today. No frost problems for the next few nights either. Really quite mild indeed on Wednesday. That's the mildest day coming up this week, when Ireland is up to 13 and much of the UK up to 10 or 11 degrees. But from Thursday onwards, that's when the cold weather starts. So still mild through Thursday in the south and the southeast, but much colder up in the north and the northwest. And by the time we get through to Friday, we really are in much colder air, just 3 or 4 degrees at best in the south, barely above freezing with those temperatures. For Scotland, widespread frost on Friday night, barely above freezing for many of us on Saturday, a severe frost potentially on Saturday night. Sunday, again, it's barely above freezing by day. Another severe frost Sunday night into Monday. Monday, a little bit milder down in the southwest, but cold elsewhere. Remember, there's a chance of a snow event going on there. Monday to Tuesday. So still cold up to Tuesday, barely above freezing for many central northern parts of the country, a little bit milder or less cold down in the south. And then it turns a bit milder through the middle of next week. We're going up to day 10, where it does look milder there for Wednesday 13th of December, but we know that's not going to last very long. If the model is right, by the end of next week we're back into those northerly winds again. This is ECMWF, cold northerly winds for Friday, those cold winds staying with us into Saturday. Sunday, it's still cold. We're building up a slight transient ridge within that cold air. Then low pressure coming in off the Atlantic, sunny to Monday. And this is a little bit further north with the low pressure. So for southern areas, this is probably bringing rain. But for central and northern areas, that's a snow event coming through again, Sunday to Monday. And bear in mind the detail of the track of these low pressures will chop and change over the next few days. So I think you've just got to watch your space for the chance of these snow events through the early part of the next week. That low pressure is sitting in the North Sea on Tuesday, winds turning back into the north, so obviously wintry potential there. And then we go up to day 10, still with northerly winds through the middle of next week, and that continues up to day 10, Thursday the 14th of December. So where the GFS was turning things a little bit milder briefly through the middle of next week, actually the ECMWF is keeping things cold. I think basically the idea is that it is a cold outlook, at least to the middle part of December from around Thursday onwards. Finally, these are just the GFS and ECM ensembles put together, grouped together, just to show you that this period here, the red line is the ECMWF, just to show you that the ECMWF was one of the milder options within both its own ensemble, the ECMWF ensembles, and also the GFS ensembles for that period just there. Let's go back to it. For that period just here where we bring this low pressure through. As I say, it's bringing rain to the south. It would probably still be slow for central and northern areas, but it was a milder option during that period around the 10th, 11th of December. So it's probable that the East MDF ensembles would actually be trending this low pressure further south, and that would bring the threat of snow even into southern parts of the country early next week. But as I say, we'll know more about that as we get further on into the week. What we've got to concentrate on initially is this northerly blast that's coming up from starting Thursday in the north and then across the whole country by Friday. It is a cold northerly, this, a proper cold northerly with the -10 isotherm getting down into the country. So wintry potential is there with those sort of cold upper air temperatures. We might see snow showers more widespread, and we could see some banding together of those snow showers if we get embedded troughs and fronts, and we'll know more about that. And then beyond that, as the Atlantic tries to re-establish, of course, there's a risk of more sort of snow events as the Atlantic has a go at pushing away this cold air. That's early next week, and I think we leave that alone for the time being, but we'll start to firm up a bit more on that as we get through to the middle and latter stages of this week. So it's looking quite interesting. It's certainly looking like a colder December than we've had for quite a while. No 2010, no severe cold and snowbound Britain from northern Scotland to the southwest of England. It's not going to be as bad as that, but it is looking a much more seasonable and wintry month. Certainly the first half of the month. What happens in the second half, of course, that's more uncertain. Right, we'll have more tomorrow, and coming up this evening, we've got the 16th Christmas update, so come back to that. It'll be around 7 o'clock. That's all for now, and thanks for watching.